Forged in Violence: My Best Lessons for Keeping Yourself Safe. People often ask me, after everything you've been through, how do you stay safe in today's world? It's a question that deserves more than a simple answer about techniques. To understand my approach to self-preservation, you first need to understand the journey that shaped it. As I have many new subscribers, this may be helpful to them too. From survival to philosophy, my background. I grew up on the south side of Johannesburg in government housing, essentially South Africa's version of the American projects. Violence wasn't an abstract concept, it was woven into the fabric of daily life. At 6 years old, while most children were learning to ride bikes, I was mapping safe routes home from school to avoid the gangs that terrorized our neighborhood. My first martial arts experience came through necessity. Karate classes at age 6, desperately hoping to find some way to protect myself from the relentless bullying I faced. I stuck with it for years, eventually earning a second-degree black belt and competing for what was then known as the Northern Transvaal South African military karate team during my service. But traditional martial arts alone weren't enough. It wasn't until I began boxing as a teenager under legendary coach Willie Tawil that I finally learned how to genuinely defend myself. Almost overnight, once I started fighting back effectively, the school bullies stopped targeting me. This was my first profound lesson in self-preservation. Sometimes, demonstrating the capability and willingness to protect yourself is what prevents the need to do so. Home offered no sanctuary. Living with an alcoholic, abusive mother culminated in being kicked out at 17, leaving me homeless on the streets of inner-city Johannesburg. Survival required adaptation. I forged my mother's signature to enlist in the military, spending my 18th birthday in the close protection unit of the military police. The military transformed me. I made a pact with myself. I would rather die fighting than let anyone push me around again. This mentality, born of trauma and necessity, carried me through my service, where I rose to become platoon sergeant and the lead hand-to-hand instructor for my unit. After the military, with no high school diploma and limited options, I took the only job available, working security at Johannesburg's notoriously dangerous nightclubs. For years, first as a doorman and then running security contracts for several well-known nightclubs, I faced violence nightly. One-on-one confrontations, group attacks, knife assaults, and even a near-fatal shooting attempt that I survived only because of a disarm technique I still teach to this day. This crucible of real-world violence eventually led me to establish the Street Tough Gym, later evolving into what's now known as Crazy Monkey Defense. I became the first to bring Muay Thai to South Africa under the guidance and tutelage of the legendary Apidej Sitharoon, the first to do full-contact stick-fighting matches on the weekends, developed the country's first official MMA team, earning the title Father of MMA in South Africa from Sports Illustrated, and I was South Africa's first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. As such, I began receiving invitations to teach worldwide, including special forces military teams and elite policing units. For 2 decades, as I traveled the world, I sparred with everyone and anyone who asked me to, from students and special force operators to world champions. Tens of thousands of hours of full-contact sparring rounds later, I am confident that what I teach works from the street to the mat and on the battlefield. I share this background not to intimidate or impress, but to contextualize what follows. My approach to self-preservation has been forged through decades of full-contact sparring encounters to navigating some of the most violent environments imaginable. It's not theory, it's battle-tested survival wisdom. Why self-preservation rather than self-defense? I deliberately use the term self-preservation rather than self-defense. This distinction is crucial. Self-defense implies a reactive approach. You've already found yourself in danger and now must respond. It suggests you missed earlier opportunities to avoid the situation entirely. Self-preservation is holistic and proactive. It encompasses everything from situational awareness and threat assessment to conflict de-escalation and, only as a last resort, physical protection skills. It's a complete system for navigating the world safely, not just a collection of techniques for fighting back once you're already in trouble. My 5 pillars of effective self-preservation. Through decades of experience, I've distilled self-preservation into 5 interconnected elements that form a comprehensive approach to personal safety. These aren't abstract concepts but practical principles I apply daily. First pillar: cultivated awareness, the foundation of safety. The most important self-preservation skill isn't a punch or kick, it's awareness. I developed this skill as a child, walking home through dangerous neighborhoods, and it's saved my life countless times since. This doesn't mean living in paranoia or constant fear. Instead, it means maintaining a relaxed but observant state I call relaxed readiness. When I enter any environment, whether a restaurant, shopping mall, or public transit, I automatically 1. Note all available exits. 2. Scan for individuals whose behavior seems unusual or concerning. 3. Position myself with environmental advantages. Back to wall, clear sight lines. 4. Periodically reassess as conditions change. This heightened awareness isn't stressful once habituated. It becomes as natural as breathing. I teach students to develop this awareness through structured practice, gradually training their perception until it becomes instinctive. The goal isn't to see threats everywhere, but to notice what matters. When you can recognize potential dangers early, you gain precious time and options. This awareness has helped me avoid countless dangerous situations before they could develop. Second pillar: strategic movement, positioning, and distance management. How you move through spaces significantly impacts your safety. I've learned that predators, whether street criminals or workplace bullies, typically select targets based on perceived vulnerability. I move with purpose and confidence, using what I call strategic movement principles. 1. Maintain appropriate distance based on context. 2. Create space before tension escalates into conflict. 3. Use natural barriers, furniture, cars, etc., as protection. 4. Move in ways that preserve multiple escape options. During my years working nightclub security, I learned that proper positioning often prevented violence entirely. Standing at the right angle, maintaining appropriate distance, and using environmental features for protection dramatically decreased the likelihood of physical confrontation. Strategic movement isn't about looking tough or intimidating. It's about moving through the world in ways that naturally deter predatory behavior while maximizing your safety options. Third pillar: verbal management, de-escalation before physical action. Among the most underrated self-preservation skills is the ability to manage conflict verbally. Throughout my career, I've prevented far more violence with words than I've ever had to address physically. Effective verbal management includes: 1. Calm, controlled communication, even when facing aggression. 2. Clear boundary setting without escalation. 3. Strategic use of tone, volume, and pacing. 4. Recognition of when dialogue is futile and disengagement is necessary. During my years as a doorman, I learned that how you communicate often determines whether a situation resolves peacefully or erupts into violence. Speaking with quiet confidence while giving someone a face-saving way to disengage frequently diffused potential conflicts before they could escalate. This skill extends beyond potential violence to everyday interactions. The same principles that help manage an aggressive stranger can help navigate difficult workplace conversations or family conflicts. Fourth pillar: physical preparedness. Simplicity over complexity. If all preventive measures fail, physical skills become necessary. Through countless real confrontations, I've learned that simple, high-percentage techniques always outperform complex, flashy moves when life is on the line. What I teach today in Crazy Monkey Defense saved me numerous times in real-world interpersonal conflict. As such, my approach to physical self-preservation emphasizes 1. Robust fundamentals that work under stress and adrenal dump. 2. Techniques that account for the chaos of real violence. 3. Skills that remain effective are able to mitigate size or strength disparities wherever possible. 4. Responses appropriate to the level of threat. The physical component of Crazy Monkey Defense was developed and refined through decades of testing what actually works in unpredictable, high-stress situations. We focus on movements that A. Can be executed while experiencing extreme stress. B. Don't require perfect conditions or cooperative opponents. C. Create immediate safety to enable escape. D. Minimize rather than escalate violence when possible. Physical skills, while essential, represent the last line of defense in a comprehensive self-preservation approach. They're the backup system when all other preventive measures have failed. Fifth pillar, mental resilience, the critical internal component. Perhaps the most overlooked aspect of self-preservation is mental resilience, the psychological foundation that determines how effectively you implement all other skills. Through my journey from bullied child to military instructor to martial arts innovator, I've developed practices that build this internal fortitude. 1. Stress inoculation, training to maintain function under pressure. 2. Emotional regulation techniques to manage fear and anger. 3. Mental rehearsal of potential scenarios and responses. 4. Development of what I call peaceful warrior presence. During the attempted shooting at the Doors nightclub that nearly ended my life, it wasn't just physical technique that saved me, it was the ability to act decisively under extreme stress. This mental clarity under pressure comes from deliberate training of the mind alongside the body. The ultimate goal of mental resilience isn't fearlessness, but the ability to function effectively despite fear. It's about maintaining clarity and purpose, even when facing extreme adversity. Practical application, how I live self-preservation daily. These principles aren't academic exercises, they're how I navigate the world every day. Here's what this integrated approach looks like in practice. When traveling to unfamiliar cities, I research areas before visiting, plan routes that minimize risk, and maintain awareness without projecting fear or uncertainty. I position myself strategically in public spaces, choose seating with good sightlines, and remain observant without appearing paranoid. If confronted with potential conflict, I manage my own emotional response first, then use verbal de-escalation to resolve the situation peacefully if possible. Physical skills remain available, but deployed only when absolutely necessary for protection. This approach has kept me safe in some of the world's most dangerous environments without requiring me to live in fear or suspicion. In fact, it's precisely because I have these skills and awareness that I can move through the world with genuine confidence and openness. The deeper philosophy, beyond mere survival. After decades of evolution, my approach to self-preservation has transcended mere survival to become a philosophy of living. I've come to understand that true self-preservation isn't just about avoiding physical harm. It's about preserving your whole self, your dignity, peace of mind, relationships, and ability to engage authentically with the world. The ultimate irony I've discovered is that mastering the arts of protection actually allows you to live with less fear and greater presence. When you know you can handle difficult situations, you no longer need to worry constantly about them. This is the true gift of comprehensive self-preservation. Not paranoia, but freedom. Not fear, but confidence. Not isolation, but engaged, aware living. Invitation to a different path. If you've read this far, you likely sense there's more to personal safety than what's commonly taught. The path I'm describing isn't about becoming more aggressive or suspicious. It's about becoming more aware, prepared, and centered. This approach to self-preservation isn't just for those with my background or experiences. The principles can be adapted to anyone's life circumstances, providing increased safety without sacrificing quality of life. In fact, I'd argue that true self-preservation enhances life quality by removing the background anxiety that many people carry about their personal safety. When you know you can handle what comes, you're free to be fully present in your experiences. That, ultimately, is what decades in the fire have taught me. The highest form of self-preservation isn't just staying alive. It's living fully, confidently, and authentically in a complex world.